What's up guys, Raziel here, and today we have got the 4.3 preliminary patch notes. So I'm going to go over the ones that I actually give a shit about, you know, the class buffs, the 24-man raid, the changes to loot so you can gear up your jobs that, you know, aren't doing Savage content much quicker. So, yeah, let's take a fucking look and see if we're disappointed or if we're pleasantly surprised.
I am Raziel.
Alright guys, so here we are, the preliminary patch notes, and I'm gonna go right into the stuff that I, you know, fucking care about. So, the Dark Knight changes. Let's take a look, shall we? So, the first change, Power Slash, Dark Arts Potency of 240 has been added. And Dark Arts Combo Potency, of course, has been added as well to 440. Now, what this ultimately means is Power Slash, especially when Dark Arts is going to hit like a fucking truck. Now, the issue with that is you generally only use the Power Slash combo to grab Enmity at the start of a boss battle. So this change is good. You know, can't wait to see some direct hit crit Power Slash openers, but it's not going to be something that you spam in place of, for example, you know, Soul Eater, because you don't get mana back when you do the Power Slash combo, so you're ultimately kind of fucking yourself if you decide to switch over, even if Power Slash hits harder. But yeah, overall, that change is okay. Good, more damage for an ability we use in between 1 and 3 times a fight, but hey, whatever. Grit, MP cost has been reduced. Another good change. Grit in the past it has always been a pain in the ass, and in fact I hope that eventually Square, you know, in 5.0, obviously it's not going to come during this expansion, they need to just rethink the entire tank stance for all tanks, because no tank worth their salt tanks any boss that is once they're at the appropriate item level in tank stance. It's just for generating threat at the start of a fight. I think that's stupid. They should just make, you know, maybe slightly lower all tanks damage a tiny bit and remove the damage penalty for being in tank stance. That's what I would do, but anyway, not important, not happening right now or ever as far as we know, so moving on. Dark Passenger. Oh, Dark Passenger, how I loathe thee. It got some changes. Okay, potency has been increased by 40, both for its Dark Arts and its standard potency, so it's going to hit harder. It remains to be seen, the math remains to be done to see if it's a DPS loss on less than, if you use it on less than 3 targets, we'll see. But this is a huge thing. Additional Enmity has been added to it, and its cooldown has been doubled. So you're not going to be able to use it as often, you know, as the amount of times we use it on a boss fight right now is a big fucking 0. But I can see this being possibly a part of an opener for getting Enmity. Much faster than doing 2 Power Slash cycles to get your Enmity high at the start of a fight. Dark Mind. Reduction to magic vulnerability has been changed from 15 to 30%, and the Dark Arts effect is gone. What I would have liked to... This is a good change. This is very good because now it's as if you Dark Arts it every time. So you don't have to Dark Arts Dark Mind anymore. What I would have liked to see is them to keep a Dark Arts effect, but make the Dark Arts effect add 15% to the entire raid. Give us some more utility, but doesn't matter. They didn't do that. This is still a positive change, very positive change. So Dark Mind has become twice as strong. Very good. Dark Side. The effect no longer ends upon being incapacitated. Thank the fucking maker. Dark Side is one of my biggest pet peeves. If you watch my stream, you know how often I complain about it. So this is a very good change. I wish Dark Side didn't exist at all, but the simple fact that now you don't have to recast it after you die in a battle and get rezzed or whatever is amazing. Okay, Shadow Wall. Recast time reduced from 180 to 120, so it is now a 2-minute cooldown instead of a 3-minute cooldown. Thank God. Fuck yes, this is a great change. Shadow Wall is going to be much more available in every fight. So, good for Dark Knight defenses. Plunge. They added the Dark Arts. Oh God. I don't know why they did this. What we have been complaining about more than anything else, the Dark Knight community has been complaining about Dark Arts spam. It was great they took it off of Dark Mind, but then they added it to something else. Square, head out of your ass, please. But anyway, okay. Plunge. 340 potency has been added if you use Dark Arts before Plunge. Enmity increase if you use Dark Arts before Plunge. But they fixed the delay, so there's not gonna the delay before using a skill or an action after plunging has been reduced. Thank you. This was Plunge's biggest problem. This makes for some interesting openers and aggro pullers on ads. Now this change is probably not my favorite change, but I think the most significant change in terms of playstyle for the Dark Knight. Soul Survivor, which was a shit ability. Anyway, so they buffed when Soul Survivor is on the target when it dies. They increased how much MP and HP you get back by 10%. So you get 30% of your HP and MP percent back now after this change if the target dies with Soul Survivor on it. However, this is the big thing. You get 20% of your max HP and MP regardless now when the buff expires, even if the target you put it on doesn't die. That is huge. That has turned Soul Survivor from an ability you never use at all. You're never going to use Soul Survivor currently on a boss fight unless, you know, maybe on an ad like 07S or, you know, when Daddy comes out or Ultros. Now to an ability that you're just going to use on cooldown, or you're going to plan it for tank busters, because Soul Survivor now is going to heal you for 20% of your MP, 20% of your HP when it expires regardless. So I'm seeing a complete change to how Dark Knights now are going to pull the initial, if they're main tanking, how they're going to pull things, and even if they're DPSing. Because you'll do it right at the pull, Soul Survivor right at the pull, so you have more mana when you're spamming Dark Arts and your DPS rotation. But I see, for example, this is just off the top of my head, you know, before in the patch, what I would do as a opener to, if I'm main tanking a boss in a Savage mode, for example, is I would unmend, maybe do 2 power slash combos, and then after that drop grit. But that, you know, that takes up, you know, 6, 7, 8 or 9 GCDs to do all that. Well, now I see it much better where you Dark Arts pre-pull, unmend, plunge, because you're getting a huge enmity and damage boost from Dark Artsing that plunge onto the boss, then Dark Arts, oh, and right the second you plunge, you hit the boss with Soul Survivor. So Soul Survivor is already there. Dark Arts, Dark Passenger. That's a huge enmity increase right there. And then just do 1 power slash combo, because we know that Dark Passenger is off the GCD. I think it is anyway. But do 1 power slash combo, drop grit, and then your Soul Survivor will proc, give you back a bunch of mana. So, you know, because obviously spending the extra mana on both a Dark Arts and a Dark Passenger is pretty hefty on your mana, but you're going to get 20% of your mana back no matter what. So that's very, very interesting. So overall, my feelings on the Dark Knight changes are good. Not great, but step in the right direction. The class still needs an entire overhaul, in my opinion. Tanking in general kind of needs a new mindset, because in my opinion, tanking in Stormblood has kind of turned out to be a failure overall, with all the changes that have been made to tanks, and, you know, like I mentioned just a minute ago, tank stances and all that shit being so stupid. abilities like Dark Side being stupid, but Dark Art Spam being stupid. You know, Warriors being a very, very greedy tank, and fucking Paladins having all the utility. Like, do I think this will change the meta? Probably not. But fuck the meta. But it may. It may change stuff in content where high utility isn't necessary, because with these changes, I'm pretty sure that Dark Knight's going to be doing more DPS than Paladin. Not as much as Warrior still, but we'll still be doing more DPS than a Paladin. And our personal cooldowns, I think, are on the same level as Paladin now. Pretty close. I'm not talking about any ability that helps another player on the team. Utility, of course, Paladin fucks all the other tanks in utility and probably always will. But Dark Knight has some very, very good survivability increases with these changes. So, good overall, but nothing groundbreaking. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Alright, Monk. And, of course, Samurai. Monk, I don't know a whole lot about because I don't play Monk. But, there's your enmity reduction. And they made it so, I know a little bit about Brotherhood. They made it so that in if you're ever in a party with 2 monks, you don't lose your Brotherhood stacks, or one person's left out of the buff. Now it stacks, so you get multiple buffs. For monk meta, maybe? No, I'm just kidding. I don't think so. Samurai. Now, to be honest with Samurai, I'm disappointed in these changes. They're not enough. They're not enough to significantly change anything. Pretty much they got a blanket 20 potency increase across the board on almost everything. Third Eye's damage reduction was doubled. So now instead of a whopping 5% damage reduction, you get 10%, which is, hey, a buff is a buff. And then they added, in the past, no one would really ever hit Merciful Eyes unless you were in dire need of some heals. My fucking hair is a mess, as you can tell. I haven't showered or done shit today. But Merciful Eyes now also reduces your enmity by 20%, so maybe you can spam that much more than, you know, Diversion. So you're gonna get, it's a slight DPS decrease because you're not gonna be, you know, hitting Yuka-Kaze as much, but you're gonna be getting quite a few, you know, get out of jail free cards with your enmity. Whenever you heal yourself with Merciful Eyes. So, that's a good change. Rogue Ninja, Sprint no longer dispels Hide. Okay. Black Mages, the ethereal manipulation in between the lines is pretty much becoming instant instead of having all this long animation, which is good. So, basically just a movement buff for Black Mage and Thaumaturge. Scholar. My fucking retard. Scholar. Whispering Dawn, I don't know a whole lot about the healing classes, okay? But from what I can see, they're getting quite a big buff. Yeah, so Fey Union can now be interrupted in order to cast Rage another action. I know a lot of people have been complaining about pet control. Pet control in this game generally is kind of poor, so they're improving it. Dissolve Union, that's again. Aether Pact, recast time has been reduced from 5 to 3 seconds. Whispering Dawn, action category has been changed from spell to ability. This is interesting. It's no longer a spell, it's an ability. Cast time is instant, and the healing potency has been bumped up by 20. Astrologian, Malefic, and all their damaging spells, cooldown loss. Cast time was reduced by a second. That's good. More time to draw cards. Light speed. MP cost reduction changed from 25 to 50%. I can see a lot of greedy Astrologians now, you know, light speed into gravity, that type of thing. But we'll see how that goes. Reduction to attack magic potency has been removed. Nice. So again, gravity support. Recast time has been reduced from 150 to 120. So cooldown reduction. That's great. Expected Helios, cast time reduced from 3. They took half a second off that spell. I don't really know what that spell does. I think it's the bubble, but I'm not sure. Arcanist, Summoner, and Scholar, all the pet actions can be cancelled now in order when you want to use a different pet action. That's fucking necessary and a good change overall. Okay, I'm going to go into a few of the other things that, you know, I find interesting. Again, I will put a link in the description for the full preliminary patch notes, and you can read over them yourself if you're interested in ones I skip in more detail. Because I don't PvP, I don't do a lot of some of the stuff that's listed or give a shit about some of the stuff that's listed, so I'm not going to really talk about it. Swallow's Compass, new dungeon. We don't know what item level gear is going to drop from there. So we'll see. But Disciple of War and Magic, level 70 and above, obviously. Average item level 330 or above to do. If I had to guess, I would say 350 gear drops here, but I don't know. I'm not sure. The new trial, which they're keeping very, very hush-hush, and the new trials extreme mode. Let's see. You get an echo now when you're doing the old trial by Aku. The Alliance raid. Okay, 24-man raid. Average item level 335. Again, I'm going to guess 350, 355 gear dropping from here. I could be wrong. But one big change I wanted to point out here is look at the completion reward right here. Upon completing the Ridorano Lighthouse, players also receive a separate, like a coin, like you did from the first 24-man raid, and you can exchange it for the items, the upgrade Mendacity items. So if you buy like the 360 chest with Mendacity, you can buy a weave or a polish and upgrade an item to 370. So a quick way to upgrade items to 370. Also to note, I don't know if it's up earlier in the patch notes, but they removed the weekly limitation of normal mode Sigmascape. So now the second you hit level 70 and you get, you have a high enough gear to unlock and do Sigmascape, you could spam it all day if you wanted to and instantly get a sub job or your first job up to 350 item level in a day if you wanted to. Very, very, very cool. A good catch-up mechanic for new players to gear up quickly. And you now can upgrade once a week a Mendacity item to 370. So ultimately what that means is you can get Savage level gear now, the 370, not the weapon, but because the weapon is 375, and I imagine your trial weapon is going to be probably like 380, maybe, or 375. But you're not going to be able to get the highest weapon in the game this way. But you can get once a week an item. Slowly gear yourself if you're not doing Savage. You just don't need to do Savage modes to get to 370 on most of your gear pieces now. They made some adjustments to the original Palace of the Dead. Some preliminary adjustments to Eureka. I'm not going to go over those. They're not significant. See, there we go. Weekly reward limit for Omega Sigmascape has been removed. So, yeah. Some good changes. Again, this change here can eat my asshole. And I don't think it's going to pan out. The greed only and the 24-man raid, I don't think it's going to work out for them, and I think they're going to change it relatively quickly because people are going to fucking rage, myself included, because it's a stupid change. Whoever thought of it's stupid. Even if that's Yoshi P, you're stupid for thinking of that change. Anyway, the roulette. Normal mode's added to the roulette. Normal mode raids. Which is going to be all of the previous Alexander and Omega. They're also adding the new dungeon, the Swallow's Compass, to the Expert Roulette. They're increasing the requirement in if you're a mentor to Q to 335. Any mentors are already over 335, so that's not a significant change. Let's see if there's anything else here I think it's worth mentioning. Adjustments have been made to the treasure chests in the Drowned City, Hell's Lid, and Fractal Continuum hard. They usually do that every odd patch like that, so not surprised. Another way to get gear, I wanted to mention this. So go start doing your hunts, because for 500 Centurio seals you can get a Doyen's Clan Mark log, which can be exchanged for items, 360 items, Mendacity level items, if I remember correctly. So again, this is definitely the patch, or if you're a new player, you just got to level 70, or you have a bunch of alt jobs, good quick ways to gear now if you want to grind it out. You can gear your character pretty quickly. So PvP, don't give a shit about PvP at all. Don't care. Obviously there's new items, and we don't have a lot of detail on item level. I'm sure in the official final patch notes we'll get item levels for all those activities I mentioned. A new mount, some new minions, some changes to the UI, some changes to ins and stuff. I know they added, you can do a lot of commands you previously couldn't do in an in, you can now. They also added a glamour chest to your squadron room for some reason. Oh, and they added new dungeons you can do with your squadron. So those of you wanting to level up your squadron, they added 3 new dungeons to that. Again, the colorblind thing, the great additional change. You can see differentiate on the party map. You know, these are quality of life changes between party members, chocobo, pets, things like that. The colorblind mode I just mentioned. The cross-world link shell. Obviously, there's going to be new text for that. And I will be creating a game musings with Razio, Aether link shell, and eventually a Primal link shell. For anyone who wants to, just hit me up, and you can get in and chat with me when I'm online. So, yeah. So overall, guys, these patch notes are interesting. I'm really excited to do the new dungeon, the new 24-man raid. Really excited for the changes, to try these changes out myself. Again, I don't see a huge shift, if any at all, in the meta when it comes to tanks, and definitely not with Samurai. I think the Samurai buffs are very, very lackluster. It would have been better instead of doing a 20 potency across the board, maybe a 40 or a 60 potency across the board, because Samurais need to be hitting like fucking trucks. But I digress. I'm not in charge of the game. We'll just play as we see fit. Oh, also, you can make Namazu your the Namazu model in your house now. You can put them in your house as your NPCs instead of the standards. See, right there, if you want to. I'm just scrolling over these changes real quick one more time to see if there's anything I care about that's of note. They made quite a few gold saucer changes. For all you minstrels out there, you know, all you bards, they changed the performance actions quite a bit. So again, all these patch notes will be, the link to this will be in the description below. But the meat of it was what I wanted to get into, which was the class balance changes, which I think overall are good. Samurai quite lackluster. Dark Knight, a whole lot more could have been done, but we'll have to play it and see how it pans out. I'm really excited to see the new trial, because they're being very secretive of what the trial actually is. But yeah, feel free to go over the patch notes yourself if you want everything in more detail. And again, we'll be getting even more details, like specifics, because a lot of these patch notes you'll see, they have, you know, they'll say this has changed, and then it's just blank underneath, like that, stuff like that. We'll get more details about that on Tuesday. Keep in mind the patch cycle for this. The downtime in the servers is 24 hours when this patch goes live, right before. So keep that in mind. You know, get your weekly shit done before then, before Monday if you can. And as always, guys, keep it real. Follow me on Twitch and Twitter. I stream 3 days a week. Come give me some, you know, a hard time. Come give me some bullshit, and we can chat over these changes in person. But until then, guys, I know I just said it, but I'm gonna fucking say it again. Keep it real.